Thank you all for joining us to our second annual Prevention Summit. Hashtag Reimagine Manhood, exploring gender equity, racial justice, and healthy masculinities. In each of your tables, there are a couple of hashtags, so I encourage all of you, you can do social media, take your phones out, use the hashtag Reimagine Manhood and hashtag How I Will Change. So, again, my name is Diana Mancera. I am the Director of Membership and Programs at Jane Doe Inc. And if I may ask, how many of you attended our first Prevention Summit? If you can raise your hands. Well, very few of you. Welcome. And for those who is your first time attending our Prevention Summit, if you can raise your hands. Yes! Success. So, welcome to everyone, the new ones and the not so new ones. Everyone, thank you for coming. And I know that some of you are joining us from different parts of the state and also from different states. So if you're coming from a different state, if you can raise your hand. Nice. Well, welcome. Thank you for making the drive. If you drove, I guess, or took a boat or something. Thanks. And thank you for those who are here from across the state. I so much appreciate it. I know that many of you drove from like 2 hours, an hour, so all of you, welcome. Thank you. So you are all about to embark on an amazing day. We have a pretty full day of amazing presenters, amazing workshops. So I hope that you all enjoy the rest of the day. So for those who you attended last year's summit, we discussed a few different things around intersectionality. So we want to continue those conversations. We know the survivors of sexual assault and domestic violence do not just show up as survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault. We know that many of us identify as people of color. We know that many of us also identify with people with disabilities. Maybe some of us identify as trans and queer. So we know that survivors do not show up as just survivors. So that's when we're talking about intersectionality. What survivors come with, it's all these different intersections. So today we want to continue those conversations, and I also want to take this opportunity to acknowledge what many of us know and realize that what we're seeing in the news is not really recent news for many of us. The recent wave isn't necessarily a recent wave. We know that sexual assault is not recent and a recent epidemic. We know that every 98 seconds someone is being sexually assaulted in the US. So sexual assault, sexual harassment is a problem that many of us have been victims of and or have been discussing for centuries. Sexual assault activism didn't just begin with the hashtag #MeToo. Sexual assault activism didn't just begin with those who were featured in the Times magazine. Our willingness to do something, to say something, to engage men and boys in the movement needs to also recognize and deserves praise and support to those who came before us. To those whose actions have formed the movement to confront and change the social norms. Again, this isn't new. Sexual assault and domestic violence is not new. The history of sexual assault goes back to the late 1800s. This is a history of many women of color, particularly Black women who have struggled with racism, sexism, and sexual assault during the slavery. So today, we will have the opportunity to enhance and strengthen your understanding about the role that each of us play to foster gender equity and racial justice. To participate in shared conversations about pro-social norms about masculinity, shared an understanding of what healthy masculinity means, and how this affects us and survivors of sexual assault and domestic violence. Now I want to introduce the person that lets me just drive all my ideas. So I say, hey, I have an idea about racial justice and healthy masculinities. What do you think? Okay, what are we gonna do? So I would like to introduce my supervisor, my boss, my colleague, Deborah Robbins, the executive director.
Is the mic?
Yep, it's right there.
Oh. Good morning, everyone. Oh, this looks great. Thank you, Deanna. Those are words that resonate with all of us. I'm so excited to welcome all of you to our Reimagine Manhood Summit. And I want to give you some information about Jane Doe and some background about this event and how it came to be. We've been working on this idea since the early summer and had no idea how timely this topic would be given the current environment we are living in. We are all in the right place at the right moment. This is a pivotal moment, but as Deanna just said, this is not the first time we have been here. And it is what we will do at this moment that will make the difference. Jane Doe, Inc., the host of today's conference, is commonly referred to as JDI, and we're the state coalition against sexual assault and domestic violence. We're a membership organization with nearly 60 nonprofits across the state, and we all work together to prevent gender-based violence in the Commonwealth and beyond. Each of our members provides services, prevention programming, and together JDI supports their expertise to work in their communities, and we lend a statewide approach that addresses the broader systemic issues that foster and perpetuate violence. One of our core beliefs is that there is strength in numbers. In addition to working with our members, we have partnerships with other social justice and statewide organizations. We work with elected officials and many areas of government to support responsible public policies. And we strive to ask compelling questions such as, what will it take to create a world with gender equity, racial justice, and safety for all? We know that none of us can do this alone. And we also know that we can't end misogyny without ending racism. They are inextricably linked, and it is our commitment to exploring this question that forms the basis for having a summit like this one today. Why Reimagine Manhood? This hashtag was invented in my living room a few years ago, so I have to credit my partner for that. We were thinking about how to capture the work that needs to happen in order to make deeper changes in the way our society lays out the expectations about what masculinity means. There's no more of a timely topic than that right now. And after 10 years of leading the Massachusetts White Ribbon Campaign here, where thousands across the state took a pledge, participated in meaningful actions to promote the campaign, we heard the message that there is a thirst for deeper conversation into this topic, a need to explore the meaning of these social norms and how they show up in very different communities. And while there is never a one-size-fits-all approach that works, it is also true that promoting healthy masculinities is such an important area to explore, unpack, and better understand. None of us can do this work alone, and without understanding the intersections of race and gender and how they impact how we've been taught about what masculinity is, we can't even move the needle forward. It's so exciting that so many of you heeded the call today. In this room, we have such an amazing array of participants. As Deanna has mentioned, you have traveled from all parts of Massachusetts, from other states, and from so many organizations. We have people here from coalitions, from statewide organizations, from government entities, students, colleges, youth, healthcare professionals, advocates, and educators. And there are so many White Ribbon Day ambassadors and affiliates here, which is evidence that the campaign we ran for 2 years has made a difference in the way we think about masculinity. I want to give a special shout out to some folks who are here. Hingham High School, where are you? I have to say, I live in Hingham, and I had nothing to do with this at all. And we're so grateful for you being here. Really set the bar. And for all of the rest of you as well. We also have some other large groups here. The Edward Kennedy Health Center, right there. Amherst College. And I do have to point out, I think the person who traveled the furthest is from the American Samoa. Where are you, Liz? Yes. How amazing is that? And to our other coalition colleagues, to our Jane Doe members, thank you for being here. I want to give some special thank yous. First, to Deanna Mansara, whose vision and passion for this day and for every day has made it possible. To Tony Troop, whose imagination makes words meaningful. Come on, let's just keep clapping. To Ayana Murakami Freeberg, who I think might be outside, the newest member of our team, whose training expertise will make this day a memorable experience. To Ariel Valdez, whose creativity and organization make us look great in every way. And to the JDI team, we are small but mighty, and I am very grateful to show up with you every day. It's an amazing group. And to our volunteers today, we are so grateful for your time and energy. And I also have to give a shout out to Craig Norberg-Bohm, whose vision has inspired us in this work every day. Thank you, Craig. Woo! What an amazing experience. And to our many partners here, and I also want to thank the Massachusetts Department of Public Health. We are thankfully forging this path together. Thank you for being here. And now, I'd like to introduce a great collaborator, partner, and a major funder of today's event. Please join me in welcoming Judy Benitez Clancy, the Director of the Division of Sexual and Domestic Violence Prevention and Services at the Massachusetts Department of Public Health.
Just need to get my phone.
Thank you so much, Deborah. Sexual and domestic violence are public health issues. And the reason that we say that they are is that they don't just impact someone in the moment, in the health problems and the life problems that sexual and domestic violence cause. They cause long-term chronic health problems, and they cause problems within families and communities, and they make all of our society a less healthy place to live. So it is absolutely essential that we commit resources both for services for survivors and also for prevention work. You have to have both sides of the coin. It's important to change social norms, and we have partnered with Jane Doe for many, many years. I have not been here for many, many years, but I've been in this field. I was a coalition director for about 20 years in another state before coming home to Massachusetts about a year ago-ish. So we have partnered with Jane Doe for over a decade on work in engaging men and boys in preventing sexual and domestic violence. It is really critical work. It's a big priority, and it is so exciting to me as a long-time advocate, a newer bureaucrat, but longtime advocate, to see so many people here, and particularly so many young people. Can we just thank them again? I think that's really often where change can happen. So thank you to Deborah and Deanna and Tony and Ariel and Iana and everyone else who's been involved in putting this together today. We appreciate all your hard work every day on behalf of sexual and domestic violence survivors.